comments. So our first item on our agenda is public comments. Hearing nothing from online or in person, we will move on. Next will be transportation update. Holly, you're up.
So, hi friends, good afternoon, good evening, subscribers. I wanted to give you an update on the electric buses and then also an opportunity.
Can you speak up, please?
Sorry. I wanted to give you an update on the electric buses. We started, the shed is gone. We started installing the electrical infrastructure, so that's going in. The new pole from the Green Mountain Power is in. We did receive the EPA funds for the Sandy bus and May 7th, and the 3 other buses for Arlington. I kept not hearing anything, and so I now have lots of really good friends that I call every day. And I heard from the Deputy Director of Transportation for the EPA today, and we will be getting the check for the 3 buses within a week. So that's, and as part of that, I wanted, oh, thank you so much. What I wanted to bring to your attention, and before, I wanted to see if you guys are all interested in an opportunity to get more savings, because
no.
one of
we like spending.
Well, one of the things we talked about with the electric bus is building a structure around them, right? Mm-hmm. And how are we going to get funds for that? The other piece we've been talking about is the asphalt work around the building that needs help. And I have a point, I'm getting to it. I've been reviewing your solar power purchasing agreements at Fisher, and I've gone through and we met with the installer virtually, because I want to make sure what was signed up for is what we're getting, and that's true. There are some connectivity issues here at the high school, but we have a meeting set up, I think, next week to vet that and make sure again that we're getting the savings. One thing that, when I was looking at this opportunity for the other buildings, I didn't look at Arlington and Fisher because the Public Service Commission for Vermont only allows one power generation, like power plant, to be connected to 1 meter. And you already have those, right? You have the solar right on both buildings. And as I was thinking about what we need for money, we're putting in another meter down at the electric buses that we could tie another power plant to. And so I had the company that worked with us for the electric buses run some figures, and I just sent Todd a draft of what they came up with. But basically, we would install carports behind here. So they're out back of the building. They also provide a roof for people to park under. There's batteries in them. There's also lighting, so any site lighting that we need, because I don't think there's any back there, to my knowledge. And as part of the numbers I want to run to see, I want to see if we can, as part of this lease, put in the money for an asphalt parking lot, both here and down behind Fisher. The other piece of that would be a solar panel roof. What that looks like, we don't know yet. That would go over the buses, so we could wrap the deferred maintenance in with that project. And more than anything, before I start spending time on this, I want to see if you guys are at all interested.
What's the potential? What's the concern? What's the potential downside to doing something like that?
So it would be a 20-year lease, much like these two. Mm-hmm. Maintenance operation is all on the contractor, just like these two. Mm-hmm. The aesthetics are an issue for some of the people in the MAU. There's a lot of different ways aesthetically that we can manage that. I can share with you some pictures. But basically, you're locking in your electrical right now. You're insulating yourself from the escalation costs that are already in the legislation. They're already out there. It's like 22% over the next 5 years. Electricity is going to go up. It'll mitigate any peak demand charges, and it won't cost you anything. The downside is they're ugly. There's a perception that they're ugly. And one of the things I would have to do is like run it past historic preservation, because they wouldn't be on that elevation of the building. They would be tucked out back, but still,
Where would the solar panels be?
in this parking lot,
Yeah.
and then over the buses where we're putting the infrastructure, and then behind Fisher.
Has somebody that would know about that looked at it to say this is a good spot or not with all the trees we have?
Yeah, not yet, and that's one of the things, I don't want to go down this road and like get the engineers involved. If you guys aren't at all interested, if you're like, dude, we're tapped out with solar, we don't want any more infrastructure. And that, in what I just sent you, Todd and Dion are the savings, the baseline savings, not including cost escalation and continuing charges. So what other questions do you have for me?
I was going to say, I think Rutland has something like that.
Yeah, they do, right on the corner of the
Yeah.
technical school, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different makes and models, and we can paint them a color, we can make them techie looking. Aesthetically, there's a bunch of options. The first 5-year savings is about 50 grand. And over a 20-year lease, it would be about 674,000-ish. So I wanted to see if you're interested, and then I can start working on it.
When you say it's 50,000, does that include, do we have to pay to do it, do all the work to get it all set up, or is that?
That's all on the side of the contractor, the lease agreement, and one of the reasons that this is a viable option is the legislation for the tax credit incentives are in the legislation now being proposed in the budget. So those will carry over for another year, and the folks that are working with the Guaranteed Clean Energy people, I have no doubt that we'll be okay for the next year, but we have to do all the engineering and get that all done this year.
I'm not against it, but I just wonder, how do they tell you 50,000 when they don't even, nobody's been here to look and see? There's a lot of pine trees back there, which isn't good to have around those, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, so they look at our geographic area, they look at our electrical usage. There would have to be work to make them so that they get a little more sun. But the nice thing is there are trees back there, so it would, shield the view, so it would be tucked in even if we did have to take down a couple trees.
I'm interested in exploring it for sure. I've seen these. I'm usually one that's big on aesthetics, as you know, because that would be tucked into the back and not something seen from the roadway. More open to that for sure, especially if those savings do come to realization. And it also may help with other projects going on here. So for me, I'm open to it.
I agree with that. I'd like to see a study first to see what it actually is going to be exactly.
Absolutely, and I shared that, so Todd has it on Dion, if you could share.
Yep, I'll share it with
Or
you.
just, and this is a draft. I want to help you guys save money.
Okay, any other questions for Holly?
Thank you.
All right, next we have is principal report.
Thank you. Well, it's been a busy month since we last met. I'll just highlight a couple of the highlights. For Fisher, we did our pre-K meet and greet. Most of the new students attended, and we have all 45 slots filled at this time for next year. We had our chorus concert, very well attended, and a great job by all students in grades 3 through 5, and a thank you to Daryl Niffen for putting that together and all of his work this year. June 29th, the pre-K staff and I submitted our new STARS application. There's a new application process, and it's sort of a year-long process, kind of like the continuous improvement plan that we write. We now have to do that for pre-K. And so we had a mentor, we had people come in, do observations twice this year, and then we have to write a plan and submit that and provide documentation and evidence of being able to meet all of our goals. So we submitted that, we'll wait to hear, but we also submitted for 5 stars, which is a first for us. And so we were told by the person who came that we had enough evidence to submit for 5, and so we decided to do that. So we will wait to see, and I will let you know as soon as we hear. June 9th, we held a 5th grade versus soccer game. If you happen to see the pictures on Facebook, once again, the staff won, but 5th grade gave it, this is probably the closest game there was. So it was 4-5 in the end. Today was fly-up day for Fisher students. So pre-K students went to kindergarten went to 1st grade, and all on up. And then grade 5 came to visit AMHS today. Tonight was move-up day, followed by a parade celebrating all the students in grade 5, and so congratulations to them. I did tell them that it was a different speech for me tonight. It wasn't, good luck, goodbye. It was see you soon, and that I would be coming with them. So we kind of had a little chuckle about that. And tomorrow will be field day, dance party, and barbecue for all the students at Fisher. For the high school, we also had the choral concert, instrumental concert. Thank you to Tom Neeson for all of his work. We had Jazz Fest, graduation, move up, and all of his help for those events. June 2nd, we held the yearbook dedication. Thank you to Seth Woodman and his yearbook staff. The yearbook this year was dedicated to Gaynor Cross and Emily Grabowski. June 2nd, we also held a sports banquet honoring all high school athletes and their families with dinner, recognition, and awards. June 4th, we held Senior Awards Night honoring all seniors and their families with dinner, awards, and scholarship announcements. And June 7th was graduation day. The day was seamless, and a huge thank you goes out to all of the people who made that day so successful. Joanna, Missy, Kendall, Chantel, Alex, Vinny, Jamie, Teresa, Tom Neeson, but especially the class of 2025. Clearly couldn't have done it without them, and we actually had a great day. And tomorrow will be field day activities and underclassmen award assemblies for all of the high school students that are remaining.
Questions for Mrs. Lacoste?
I had messaged you, but I'm just grateful for the effort that's been put in to plan these special events, breaking them out into individual recognition again for the seniors. It was a wonderful thing to see happen. So thank you.
Yeah, as a parent who attended, very well done. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
From a parent's perspective as well as a board's perspective. So thank you very much. Any other questions for Mrs. Lacoste?
I just wondered if the reffing had anything to do with the soccer game,
Maybe.
from what I was seeing on Facebook.
Maybe. We didn't have a yellow card. No, Jared.
There was no.
He didn't have a yellow card. So when Blake committed the foul, he decided to make his own yellow card and just gave him the old over the shoulder and brought him to the sideline.
You just have to get it done one way or the
Yeah,
other.
one way or the other.
Well, that happened.
Dan, I've said this before, I'm going to say again, this year is over. I think you've done a wonderful job at both schools. You've hired people, which is the most important job, who have done a good job underneath you, like the athletic director. That was just a great hire, straightened a lot of things out, and I just think you've done a wonderful job. And I know Todd and I had talked about this 6 years ago, maybe, about having somebody do both schools. Always wondered how it would work, and it looks like, from my point of view, I've talked to teachers and people in town and paraprofessionals, and they all seem to think it's really going well.
Thank you. If you asked me that the first 2 weeks or the last 2 weeks, I'd tell you no, but everything else in between was okay.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda, which I will read for the record. We have the minutes of the May 14th. We have the warrants, which are being circulated around for your signatures. We have no retirements. We have a leave of absence request from Crystal Setzer. We have 2 resignations, Carrie Wilkins and Elise Jones. 2 nominations, Lisa Holderness, science teacher, AMHS, Brianna Murray, paraprofessional, Fisher Elementary, and no field trips. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I just one note in the minutes. It's the Rural Schools Community Alliance as opposed to the small schools.
It should be the rural school.
Yeah. Not a make or break deal.
They're not community.
Not small schools, it's rural schools, community alliance.
Okay, we have a motion with that amendment.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Terry. Discussion?
I just let you know that Lisa yesterday sent an email declining, so she has taken another job.
Okay.
So
Well, we
it's
will
okay.
approve it as written and let you guys deal with that.
Great. Thank you.
How's that? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, next we have policies to adopt. Number 2600, Superintendent of Schools Evaluations and Review. Number 4100, Alcohol and Drug-Free Workplace. And number 5175, Possession, Sales, Distribution of and Use of Illegal Substances. All three to adopt. Is there a motion to adopt those three policies?
I'll make a motion to adopt the three policies.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I just want to note publicly in reading through the superintendent evaluation process, I'm grateful to the committee for the work. It was very outdated, and this is a good step.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, next we have Chair's Report. I was hoping to have an update on H454. However, it still has not been voted on and settled completely.
Like Monday, Friday?
I actually just received a text to check in with our state representative tomorrow, and hopefully she'll have an update, but as of right now, I don't really have one as to where it's going to be settled. I can tell you that based on what the press is saying, some things were added in, some things were taken out. It's been a lot of back and forth, but nothing has been truly settled yet, so we don't really know where it's going to land at this point. So it's
At the
really,
legislative breakfast on Monday, some of the state reps were saying that there's no guarantee that it will pass, that
Right.
there is a lot of hesitation and concern and a lot of difference of opinion between the House and the Senate. So
there's a significant amount of concern about, even with the level funding, that taxes will go up. Arlington there was numbers batted around at an 8% increase, which is it's not really a good pill to swallow when this board does much better than that on its own. But that's all likely changed. Class sizes was added back in, taken back out, reduced, added back in. School district sizes has changed a few times, wording has changed, so it's really significantly up in the air, and there is no common, it's very divided. So, wish I had better news on that, but I don't. So that's really all I had for the chair's report.
the one element that I did mention to Seth that concerned me a lot is, and a lot of the reason that people are, there are 10 districts, I think, that have voted to withhold their dues from the VSBA because they feel like they are being inadequately represented, specifically regarding supervisory unions and how they benefit small rural communities. The VSBA has come out against supervisory unions, and their line of distinction is that it allows for access to independent schools, which they are apparently trying to really lock that down. So it's an unfortunate, in this area, we really can't function without supervisory unions for our governance structure. So I don't know how that's all going to shake out.
Yes. And I'm sure it'll go on throughout the summer. Actually, I don't think there's going to
it's
be
years, yeah.
a final decision by Friday, but we will see. Okay, we have an FYI, which is enclosed within your packets, and a budget status. Fiscal year's almost over, so they'll be starting new fiscal year July 1. We do have an executive session for 3 reasons. I will read them into the record. Executive session, it's 1 VSA 313A1B, labor relations agreements with employees. We have one VSA 313A1A contracts, and we have one VSA 313A17, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students. So we'll entertain a motion to enter an executive session for those 3 reasons.
Make a motion.
We have a motion by Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Terry. Discussion.
Who's coming?
We'll invite Nick and Deanne in, and I think that should do it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
We will be having our next meeting, correct? Because we talked a little bit about not having one in July, but then there's something we needed it for, right?
Yeah, I think we will have it, and I think we want to talk about some goals and things like that.
With the
So,
new
yeah.
superintendent?
That's a
Yep.
good idea.
Yep, with the new superintendent, we want to bring him on board and have him, it may be a very quick, short one, but I plan on having him.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Dan, seconded by
I'll second.
Jess. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Boy, long, late